Hello everyone, this is Jack the Hack, the ultimate copycat of myself. I was sort of just talking to myself in the dark. It's currently 2:20 at night. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but this will be a largely unedited video. And this is going to be about somebody who I hold very dear to my heart. And that by talking to myself right now, I truly realize how important they are in my musical journey, as well as how I tell stories through other forms of media. So let me set the stage. Basically, this person joined the Viking Records, VYKG Records Discord server, which, if you don't know, if you're not a long-time viewer of mine, hey, that's fine. Welcome to the channel. Basically, this was a sort of indie music record label that, just like released music for us pretty much. And it was pretty cool. And I'm very thankful for that. A little side note, I'm very thankful for that label, and that I'm very grateful that I actually joined the label in the first place, because without it, I probably wouldn't have met half the people that I did. All the people that I did meet, that I have met outside of it, are either real life friends or people that I don't really have contact with anymore. But this record label has also helped me meet, it's helped me meet people, but there's one person in particular. This person joined the server, and, like the server did, we kind of all struck up a friendship with each other. However, I did eventually, strike up a friendship with this person, and I'm still in really good cahoots with them today, and I continue to be. This person, if you don't know, their name is Cinnamon, spelled Cinnimmin. They are a niche music creator, very cool artist, does MS Paint stuff, releases music under a bunch of monikers, but I just want to lay here in bed, because I am laying in bed right now. I want to lay here and kind of just say, yo, Cinnamon, I just want to thank you for everything you have ever done with me, for me, and regarding me. I have asked you for help so many times on for albums. I remember bothering you a bunch about oh, could you tell me? I still remember for I Am Cassette Girl, the first ever album, which is the first ever album that I had used a different moniker for. I remember asking you a lot about basically just everything about cassette types, and I was just kind of on my notes app just writing down the different parts, the different stuff for track listing. And I remember your immense help that you gave me for basically everything with the album, because basically everything about the album, especially with how I went about my style, which at the time was very unique to me, because it wasn't just looping drum and bass or really bad electronic music. First of all, first of all, thank you for that. But more generally, I truly want to thank you for just being there in my internet life, in my Discord life, because even though we haven't seen each other's face, at least I don't think, at least we haven't, I want to, even though we haven't seen each other like face to face, and that we've only communicated via voices on Discord and texting on Discord, I truly want to thank you for basically being there, for letting me join the projects that we were doing, stuff like 15 with Ryback and Joshua and everybody that was on there. There's a couple songs that I still like go back to sometimes just because like, hey, I remember this song, I want to listen to it again. Especially your stuff. Your stuff is truly impressive. I remember icosahedron, which to this day is genuine, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. It is the best thing that I've ever worked on. It is the best thing I ever worked on. Anything that I have done now, despite being a great improvement upon the style I've had in previous songs and albums, and despite like me growing as an artist, I truly think icosahedron was the catalyst for such a thing, for that type of thing. I remember you asking, around a year, like 9 months later, because of the whole like controversy with a couple people, and I remember specifically you were asking for a new XB because I believe it was Jammer who had been kicked out. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because of some controversy. So I remember making or it was either XB or it was XE. I don't necessarily remember, but I remember, our back and forths and me making a whole bunch of like ambient tracks and you saying like that it's not fitting, which I didn't take personally at all, by the way. I just figured that, okay, what I like I just wanted to listen to your feedback on like what you like wanted, as I always did, but truly because like here it's like something that was at the time was probably the most important thing I had done musically, truly. And I still remember for XD, that was made like a year later, and this is when like my like whole moniker system and my whole lore system came into place. And with that whole system came, a bunch of genres that I wanted to try out because I wanted to tell a story using different devices, but also to distinguish my music from the different monikers. Admittedly, it is still stuff I'm having trouble on now, which is why I haven't really released anything like Nebula related or Honeycomb related, but it is something that I am working on. But I digress. I remember, and I still go back to icosahedron, listening to the first parts I had made. I still remember listening to like 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, and then kind of skipping over to XD, which currently has not changed. It is still my track from like a year later, and it truly shows, and even I can tell that it truly shows how like I've evolved in my music as well as in all our music, because we have a much better ear for how things should be, how things shouldn't be. And the tracks we made originally for the 2021 release was fine. I think they still hold up, but I think there's just something about that XD track that was sort of like the catalyst for like this whole ambient electronica sort of vibe that I had started going for. And even when we did XE, or when I was trying to do XE, I'm not sure if that came into fruition. It doesn't seem like so. But I remember doing XE, and like and I think I made around like 7 demos for that, and we eventually didn't do it, and it did become Tales of the Fallen and Broken, with one of the tracks reverse being the 8th track. And I guess it was sort of like a blessing in disguise, because that is one of the albums on YouTube that is very popular for me. It's sitting at like 364 or something around there. And people do like it, and it is something that I've actually submitted for the JJ Jax Films stuff before the I don't know if it'll get put on. I don't know. But I know for that album that I do remember putting like an actual piece of lore into my description, and thank you for rejecting those tracks, because looking back at it, they definitely fit the Nexus and like Sleep vibe of ICOS, but I don't feel like they really fit ICOS, if you know what I mean. That like they definitely fit the style of it, but not the theme of it, if that makes complete sense. If not, I'm sorry. And like, while I'm on the topic of views, I do want to truly apologize. I haven't made this apparent enough, and I just want to be transparent here, because I consider myself a friend of yours, and I hope you think the same way. In that, you know, that like I feel sort of envious of your channel, and I don't really like get that jealous of a lot of things, because I really don't care, and I truly am proud of the progression that you made, and that you're able to build up such a big audience. I mean, you're getting like hundreds of views on your video, on it, like everything you make in like the span of like a couple days. And I am very proud of you, and I am so glad that I was able to witness that. Not at the beginning, because of course you had your stuff, but from that like reality/illusion era when you were trying to be Jack Stauber, kind of onwards, and I'm very proud. But I am truly sorry. I just need to get that out there. And I'm not envious, as in like it should have been me instead of him. No, I don't think that, because you deserve every ounce of internet fame that you have been getting, and I'm genuinely so proud of you for the amount of hustling you've done. And I know the stuff like the CD production and like cassette production, and I know that's starting to slow down. Hey, I'm in college too. I know exactly how you feel about the stuff, about like having to kind of slow basically everything down to a sort of walk because of stuff in your life. But it is important stuff in your life that you have to get through. And I feel like everybody understands that. Truly. I completely understand that. Like, if you're knocking yourself on it, don't be too hard on yourself. Like, I get it. I'm sure the people in your server or Jordan's server could definitely relate. But like I said, I'm like so sorry, because that is so selfish of me, especially when I'm basically just a copycat of you. And even though I'd say I've diversified enough to where I'm kind of separate, there's still that bit of remnant of like what I've had before, because of what I had before is sort of just that like that like cinnamon copycat, sort of like how you were copying Jack Stauber. Because like that lore and that type of music is still prevalent, it's still gonna be there in my music. It just depends on how I want to spin it in my own way. But yeah, but yeah, I'm just so sorry. I've said that like 5 times now. It has to be. But like, I'm so sorry. I have no right to be envious at you. And it's nothing towards you specifically, per se. It's just that it's on me, because I have this video that's at 1.4 million views, the next one's at 100K, but they're both reposts. The 100K one is a repost of the John Cena recorder vine. The other one is the repost of something that got unlisted that isn't even mine. And it's crazy to have 1.4 million people see your stuff and like, you know, wow, this is so good, and then they like make jokes, and hey, it's cool. And hey, it's cool, but there is a point, I feel, where it becomes too much. And I know deep down in my soul that it's that like nobody's gonna watch my channel. Nobody. They're just gonna watch that video, maybe like it, maybe leave a comment, but they're never gonna check out anything of mine. And even the people who do subscribe, they're not even gonna take a second look at my channel. Like, but I don't want to make this about me. I swear that this has a point, but the point is that, like, I don't have I want you to know that I don't have a resentment towards you because of it. Because it is nobody's fault except for mine that I uploaded a video that went unlisted. It is not your fault. And it is not your fault that people like your stuff. You make excellent music with a awesome lore and all this art and stuff. And it's truly, truly impressive, and I'm still looking at it, and I'm still like, oh my gosh, this is like amazing. But I'm sitting here and I just feel so guilty because I'm getting envious over something that is just like, I'm getting like jealous of that, and that's on me. That is on me. It is my fault that I decided to make a video to inflate the total view count by, but the fact still stands that you are an amazing artist in more ways than one. I am sorry for being envious, but I also want to say just thank you. Thank you. Thank you for everything you have ever done. Because while to you it may, and probably other people, it may seem like, oh, well, they're just internet friends. You have truly helped me reevaluate what I consider to be music. And while Paradox Multimedia, with his critiques and reviews, have reevaluated in recent times how I see my music as good, both lore-wise and music-wise, you are the catalyst for these videos for my music just in general. Because before I was using if I'm just gonna be completely transparent, and I'm sorry that you have to hear this, Cinnamon. When I was making music in 2019, 2020, I was using a notation app called Flat.io, and I was, the music was bad because I had no gauge on music theory. My first album, starting there for, I want to say until, I want to say until 2022, I was primarily using loops. Whether that be from a standalone app or from GarageBand. It may sadden you to hear me say this. It may sadden some of you guys who's watching or listening for me to say this. It saddens me to say this, but it's true. It's completely true. I used to use a lot of loops in my music. And while, sampling, I sample and sometimes the sample is just a loop. No, I mean, at least with the samples, I actually diversify how I use them in the songs sometimes. Because stuff like bounce is just kind of like, okay. But I'm talking about like full sections where none of my handiwork. And this is gonna make your comment on one of my videos kind of age like milk, but I need you to hear this. I need you to hear this. Albums like The Machine were made with a software, an app that had these like packs of loops. So whenever you heard a song like cut out, it was because I was switching to another page to continue a song. The Machine at the time was the best at doing this more than others. But as I look back onto it, this guilt is just starting to ride on me that I just like nothing's original. Like it's like the everything they say about me is true. It's sort of that sort of thing where I just need to confess this because I am so grateful for your friendliness. And I remember I think it was you saying like it was somebody in the in B-Cop Chord who was like dogging on loops pretty much. This was back in 2021 I'd say. And I think I engaged in the conversation saying like, yeah, I know, right? But even then I was being a huge hypocrite and I'm so sorry. And but your music truly helped with something. It truly awakened something in me to actually make music and not rely solely on loops. And that using samples and loops are fine as long as they don't make up the whole song and as long as I actually do something with it that's actually transformative. You have helped me expand my taste in music in ways that I could never have done before. I recently listened to Pimp a Butterfly, like as a whole, and instead of just listening to All Right or just listening to You or just listening to King Kunta, like listening to your albums like Reality, like CFK, like Purgatory Journalist, like the Ras albums, they truly helped me get a gauge of like what makes music like it good and how they like segue into each other to make a story. It's truly amazing, and I'm very thankful that you, whether it be avertedly or inadvertently, that you have like helped me to realize that. I also want to thank you for everything else, just kind of arts wise. I would always see your art and like these characters and like how they coincided with your story, and I was always amazed by it. I was always like inspired to do something in that similar vein, which kind of goes back to my point about the whole like seeds of like the lore, because as much as I joke about it, our lore is very similar, and that's because I did not mean to. Rest assured, I did not just copy paste. I did not do that. That was not my intention. It's just that when I was deciding to make the lore with my characters and such, I decided to go on a story, and it seems that it's been greatly inspired. Like the otherworldly person who may or may not be human is one of the creator's monikers. It's a lot of our early stuff. Well, my early stuff and your music around the same time coincides with that. But I feel like as I've like begun to get to like hone in my skills as not just a musician, but an artist in general. As I've started to do that, I've started to kind of wow, I'm so sorry. I completely blanked out for a second. I'm so sorry. Let me regain my bearings. Oh, I see. Like as I've like gone about like being an artist, I've sort of started to like it's sort of our lores have like respectively started to kind of deviate from each other, and I feel like that's good because I don't want to make the same story as, even though my lore is inspired by your lore. I I mean this as respectfully as I can. I don't want to make the same thing that you are making. I'm simply inspired by it to make a new story. And I truly thank you for making me realize that, and that making me realize how like awesome it is to use music as a device to tell stories. Just as important are the characters in said stories. Now, for those who don't know, I have numerous monikers or musical aliases that I go under. Some of them include Pan Panda, which is my ambient one. I have Jay Jesse, which is like my harsh noise one. I have Amy Bell, which is sort of like the MIDI style music. It's sort of happy and upbeat. And then I have some other ones that have kind of just been on the back burner, with the normal one, Jack the Hack, being more so used nowadays for the fun stuff I do that's not typically in the lore. And even people from Viking Records ask me, especially Soundwave. I remember in the Dreaming Sky server, he's like, "Why do you have 7 monikers?" This was back when I had 7 monikers, and I do it. It's like, oh, why not 2? It's like I do it to tell a story, because I don't think that. Because there's some albums where I remember towards when I only had 4 monikers. I remember thinking, when I was making Two of Hearts, which is about to turn 4, by the way, on the 2nd of February, it turns. Oh wait, no, it turns 3. It turns 3, which that's a crazy thing to say. I remember making this stuff for Amy Bell, and I just knew that, I had to put this stuff for Amy Bell. And even Amy Bell's gone through the revisions. I mean, Amy Bell used to be a sister duo, whereas Isabel and her little sister Amy, I eventually changed it to where I eventually retconned Amy the little sister and made a completely new character, also called Amy, but no longer the little sister. And their whole thing with like them going about like all these otherworldly things while also working on their relationship. I truly that was another thing that I sort of took a lot of inspiration from. Not more so musically, more so character wise. I mean, how I did my, I mean, the genres of which I did my music are like, were, are complete. Right now, the music I've done, the stuff like The Rescued Kids or like Aurora Vindicta are completely different from something like, I, like, Is This the Future? Or I Am Cassette, even I Am Cassette Girl, which was one of the big benefactors for my eventual evolution as an artist and as a storyteller. I mean, Pan Panda was literally a Prowler ripoff. That's why I had a bunch of pictures and videos with Panda, because that's literally all it was. It was all they were. They were sort of like this like inspired ripoff of Prowler, and it didn't catch on, but I feel like that's fine because I am like revising the character like a little bit lore wise, but also like character wise. Uh, and I'm sort of making like new lore where it's like the newly revised um um like art character in the art is sort of like the cosmic version. It's like the how he was born and like how he appears on Earth is like the panda plushie. Originally, like they were like I said, originally Pan Panda was a thing of, was a rip off of Prowler. And this was back when it was just PCB, Prowler, Cinnamon, and Blockbuster, right? This was before, I believe this was before RAS. This was like before Cornflake, during the Cornerize, the Concord to Vindicate, I believe. Yeah, that sort of era. And I remember Skylar was also a Blockbuster, or well, not like a ripoff like Pan Panda was to Prowler, but Skylar was more so like a Blockbuster, and like inspired by Blockbuster, and Jessie was very much inspired by Cornflake when she came around. And I remember too, a lot of the drawings I made, even though I've revised them like immensely and my art style has gone better, they were all originally doodles from my sophomore year chemistry class, because I did not like the class. Like, I laugh about it, but it's actually true though. I didn't like the class because of the teacher, and is like one of the reasons why I just don't like science. Like, I genuinely don't like science. Like science class. But out of the gutter that is sophomore chemistry, I had this like reignition for drawing, because I drew in elementary and I kind of stopped in junior high and like through some of COVID, but I got so bored that I started to draw again, and I drew this like character kind of inspired by Blockbuster, because I was doing a bunch of Blockbuster fan art as a sort of way to as a sort of way to what's it called, to kind of hone in my art skills almost. As Departure said, I remember Departure saying like, oh, the meat writing is crazy, and obviously he used another word for meat, but he said this in the Caretaker fan project server, and I remember it so clearly. And yeah, I just like when people don't like me, which is very rare because Like, it's not that I'm a likable person per se, it's just that, like, I just don't get into any controversy. Because I don't really do anything. So, but but Departure just, like, it's just, like, I remember, like, at least at the time, I haven't talked to him now, but, like, at the time, he just didn't like me, I'd say. But I digress. I, I remember, like, a lot of my monikers were sort of inspired by you. Even Amy Bell was inspired by Ras. Like, not even, like, the idea of a duo moniker. I mean, I was sort of planning out Static Monarch at the time, before I settled on Jack and Skylar, being Static Monarch. But the idea of Amy Bell being the duo, like not even, like, they don't have their own, like, thing, like, they work together to make music, like, that was inspired by Ras, and I truly thank you for that, for being yourself artistically and genuinely, because your characters were a mighty inspiration for why I even diversified my music in the first place. You are a great human being, a very talented individual. You're very funny. A lot of my humor still comes from the Jackbox type of streams, or type of stuff we used to do. I thank you for kind of showing me, whether it be advertently or inadvertently, how to make music, basically. How to make music that is actually quality while also keeping up a sense of lore. And it is actually, this type of storytelling has inspired me to go about a bunch of other creative ventures. Like I said, art is a pretty big one in regards to my music. I think for one, my album covers are so much better than they were now than they were before. And the characters, I feel like I've gotten better at drawing. There's still so much more to go, but you truly did reignite my passion in drawing. And even though it's not something I definitely want to pursue, it's definitely something that I would love to do, in the sense of, like, wanting to, like I said, create a story, like, have, like, characters that people latch on to. You're the reason that I have had a fondness in art, very experimental music, and as well as storytelling. There are also there's like some creative ventures that, like, thinking about it, I probably wouldn't have done if it wasn't for you in general, and your music, and how you portray your story in the music. Because currently, I think I've said this before on Discord, but I've, like, revised it since then. For the past 2 years now, since October, has passed, like, a long time ago. But since I was 15, October of 2022, I began writing a book, a fantasy book, sort of it's a satire on the fantasy, but it's also half that, half a serious book. It's still in progress. It's still in development. But I do wish that I can show you this book sometime, get your input on it. But also just kind of show you in general, because without you, the book would not have existed. I would not be like sitting down sometimes on a Saturday and just writing out pages at a time of these characters in this world. And like I said, I want to show you this at some point, because you've actually like inadvertently like inspired this. Like, because of course I've like done storytelling through music, but I've also like written stuff before, and you like have made me realize that I like that my passion for like writing and like I said, making these stories. I'm also in the progress. This is in its very early stages. So is the book, but this is like I just came up with this idea like a little less than a week ago. I'm in the planning phase of also making my own board game. I can't, like I said, it's not that I can't, it's just that I want to wait because there's things that can change. But I'm also making a board game, and you know, it seems weird to be like, oh yeah, this person, this niche micro influencer, micro musician, who has less than 1K subs as of recording this, has inspired me in this way, but it genuinely is true, because funnily enough, I'm using the characters from my latest album, Vesper, Shantae, and Vivian as the Rescued Kids. I'm using those three characters as a basis for the rules and some of the cards in this game. So it's not just something random. So it's like it may seem random, and I can understand why people may think so, but this directly relates to my music. And even then, like, Cinnamon has taught me like the world of experimentation. Like a lot of the albums I have listened to was because of Cinnamon and him introducing me to this community of people who listen to the, you know, niche popular niche tracks. I still remember the day you invited me. I still remember Jake the Joke, or Matthew Eater as he's being known like collectively now because that's his name, saying, like, making a comment on how our names are similar, because, you know, at the time, like I said, his name was Jake the Joke, and my name, and I was just Jack the Hack at the time. And that's another thing that I don't know if I've thanked you like enough here, but I want to thank you for introducing me to the community that you have. There are some times, like before I made this video, where I feel like I'm just throwing my music into the void, that I kind of like put it out. I throw it out into the void, and I'm just like waiting for something to happen. And it is nice and in the community, in the B-Cop server and in the Pineapple server, both of which you've invited me to, like, have helped me. Not only have they all, including you, have helped me realize my true potential for like making music and like experimenting with music, but they've also been my like support system in that same regard. People like uh people like Jordan liking One Giant Step, which I still remember the day he released it through his through the B-Cop Pop music label, sort of mini label he had going on for a while. I still remember how proud I was of that. And a little fun fact, my school counselor actually commented on that video, and my high school counselor, and I still think about that every day, because like people love that track, and it reminds me and him, my thinking about my counselor, like commenting on the track on YouTube saying that they like it reminds me of like, it still reminds me of how it like came out in the first place on the B Cub Music label, and how like Jordan liked it. And even when I was in my like self-doubt, like sort of like a little era of my music, that he was like, oh yeah, like this is like, Jack, you're really good. You have him with that. You have you have Kubo with my Tim Hecker 2 stuff, but you also have him alongside BSF, or for those on YouTube, you may know him as Red Stinger 0. I'm truly thankful for him as well. But without you, Cinnamon, I would never have met him. Frankly, all the people I just mentioned in the server, I would not have even known about if it wasn't for you. If it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for your joining of the Viking server, if it wasn't for our friendship coming into fruition, and if it wasn't for you helping me, because I'm still a bit of a shy person, and even online, I kind of like, I don't walk on eggshells, but like, I just truly like be careful with what I say, because especially with people who may not like my antics. I'm not saying who, because I just don't wanna. But all those people I would not have known if it wasn't for you even introducing me to them in the first place. Because they make, like, I see their, like, nice words about my, like, experimental music, and I am reminded on how I'm not just throwing music into the void. Like, you've truly been a tremendous help in my life, I'd say. Because you have, despite being somebody online, funny little person, inside my phone, you've truly, parasocially, I'd say, you've sort of been in my life in a way that has impacted me greatly, and that I'm actually succeeding because of it in more ways than one. I feel like I'm a better writer. I've made better music. I've closed the gap. I've made it so that instead of making bad music that's just absolutely horrible, I just make music that isn't necessarily for somebody, but could be for somebody else. That's really good, and there's no way that I can, like, properly repay you other than just making this, because I was just talking to myself. Like I said, I was talking to myself at like 2:20 about this. As of right now, it's like 3:09 in the morning. I've been talking for a bit of a while now, and fun fact, I have talked longer than my latest album, the Rescued Kids album, which is sort of funny to think about, but at the same time, it's truly not enough for how much you've actually done for me. And it's actually I always think that it's a shame that even though there was nothing that could be helped, I always think it's a shame that like I couldn't purchase anything of yours, like purchase any, like as much as I would love to buy like your vinyls or like your CDs. Like, I've always wanted something of yours, because you have, well, stuff of mine. Well, for one, of course, you have the music on icosahedron, but you also just have, like, you burned 15 onto a disc, and you've burned I'm Cassette Girl onto a disc, and you put it on a cassette tape. I still remember when you put I Am Cassette Girl on a cassette tape, and I was like so excited because that was like genuinely awesome, and I truly like it's something you didn't have to do, but it's something you did anyways. And there's, like I said, like I feel as though there's not anything I could do to repay you other than just to say, like, thank you, and to just truly be grateful, and to kind of, like, subside everything and just kind of tell you, like, what it's like on the other side for me. And like I said, I'm truly sorry for being envious of your success, because your success is completely warranted. The amount of people who have made fan stuff of yours truly enjoy your music, and that includes me, whether that be inspiration for my own music or stuff regarding you, like actual fan stuff that's officially fan stuff for Cinnamon. And it's just something I truly sit back and appreciate, because, like, without you, I probably would not have a channel. Like, I would probably go as far as to say that my channel would probably be drier than the Sahara. I probably would have, like, nothing. I would probably, even my most popular video, even though I'm not necessarily proud of that video because it's just a repost of an unlisted video, even that video wouldn't have existed, because without you, I would never have known about The Caretaker or Everywhere at the End of Time. I would not know about that. And I feel like you and I both deep down know that. And that sort of Nexus style that sort of style that you adopted into your music and then kind of built upon to make your own thing, that's kind of how I have been. Now, you've done it with Caretaker, but you've also had like a myriad of other influences, right? Like, I know Jack Stauber, like I said, was originally one for the Reality/Illusion series. But then there was also How to Disappear Completely for Fade, and, well, also Rise. It's why I made that fan album Ride. Because, and I remember at the time, back when you were in Charger Chord, that you were kind of like talking about how I don't remember exactly what you said, and I can probably pull up and you talked to me on Discord and all about, like, taking it down because it was too similar. And while I understand that, like, my thing was that I was making something in the same style as, that album. And that's sort of what a fan album does, I feel. It's a sort of... Sorry. Like I said, 3 a.m. I'll probably wrap this up in a little bit. But let me get my thoughts out first. It's a fan album, right? So it was sort of like a tribute to you. And so when I learned how you did it, I was sort of like, okay, I want to sort of do a fan album that's in a similar vein, but, for Jay Jesse, because that's technically Jay Jesse's first album. Although I think you've already seen it, but in case you need to be reminded, Ride isn't a canon album. It is Jay Jesse's first album, but canonically, it is not her first album because of the fact that it's a fan album. And I don't think it would be doing me or you justice by trying to fit it in this timeline of canonicity that I have. I don't think it. I think it would take too much brain power and like too much stretching to make it work. And I feel like it wouldn't be respectful for you because that is technically your album, or not like your album, but it's a fan album, and it's like think about it like a crossover episode in a TV show, like the Steven Universe and Uncle Grandpa one. I wouldn't consider that canon to the Steven Universe story because that was sort of like a one-off thing for poops and giggles. That's kind of how I see it. But Ride, my fan album Ride was truly, I made it because I like your music and I wanted to make something in that sort of same style because I like it so much. It's why I used your music. You and Ryback have changed how I think of music and like how I go about music as a whole. And it's why I use your guys' stuff so much. It's why, like, people like Departure call it meat writing. And while by definition it's true, I just really like your stuff so much because it truly inspires me. Everything you do truly inspires me to do better than before in regards to my music, in regards to writing my book, in regards to doing my art. And I feel as though and there are times where where I feel like, why do I keep going? I'll never surpass him. But I feel like now this was like 2021, 2022. And even though those thoughts still arrive in my head, I now have the maturity to realize that that's okay. That even if one person likes one of my videos, likes one of my albums, that one person is bringing 2 smiles to people's faces, one on their own and one on mine. Even if one person likes a song of yours, that is one more person than anybody who looks at somebody's most popular video, likes, comments, maybe subscribes, but never interacts with them, and they just rot in the subscription feed. You are, like I said, you are a truly amazing person. I wouldn't replace anything in the world with you. I would not go back in time and redo everything because you are truly a gift that God has sent to me, whether I knew it at the time or not, to do something with my music in a time that in hindsight was very dire, that I feel needed to be done. I thank you, Cinnamon, for these 4 years, about to be 4 years, that you have been a friend of mine, that you've been in my presence. And as the years go on, the next 4 and then the next 4 after that, and as this hour goes on, I just want to say this. Keep going. If you feel like you're burning out from music and you need to take a break, take a break. And if you feel like you need to keep going, keep going. Because you have a talent. Now, I know you have perfect pitch, but I mean, in general, you have a talent and gauge for storytelling in your music that I have not seen anywhere else. You are genuinely the most, and I know everybody would say this, you are an underrated musician. You are an underrated individual. And I am actually mad that other people, you have a following. You have a following. You're about to be at 1,000. You may be at 1,000. But you should have more. You should have more subscribers, more followers, more people who buy you. There are so many people that buy your music on Bandcamp. There should be more. There's many people who love your music videos and who love your albums and your EPs. There should be more. You should have more subscribers than me. Our subscriber count should be switched. Because frankly, if I could switch subscriber counts, I would switch it with you. Because you truly deserve it. I would rather you have the bigger audience who actually engages with your music than me. And I would never, in my wildest dreams, wish upon you the same thing that is happening to me right now, where you have more subs, but nothing's happening. I understand that as well. But I still think that you should be more popular. With the amount of engagement that you have from fans, from fan stuff to covers, like remixes, you, sir, should have more of everything. You deserve it. In the world of music, you have fostered a fire within me that has decided to keep burning. And my only wish is that I do the same, whether it be on purpose or inadvertently. You have a fire that, even though I have fostered my own, that yours is truly special. You have an amazing taste. And for that, I'm just so thankful that you've been in my life, that you have been able to help me along the way, even to now, for what's about to be 4 years in February. We've known each other for 4 years, Cinnamon. I was the same age you were right now when you made CFK. And I've said this before on Discord, but I'm saying it again because, sitting down and actually thinking about that is actually crazy. I was at the same age. Right now, I'm at the same age you were when you made CFK. And I am so thankful that you made that album, that you've been making music, and that you've been storytelling, and that you've been making art, because you are an inspiration to so many people. People say it on Discord. I'm deciding to say it in this very long video. But it's very long for a reason. I could have stopped this at the 40-minute mark and been like, oh, thank you. But no. There's so many things that I want to say to you, and so many more adventures with you that I would totally go through. And just know that if you ever need help with anything, if you need somebody to talk to, please come to me, because you have helped me so much. It is only in my best interest that I offer the same amount of help to you back tenfold. because that is the same amount of aid that you've given me throughout the almost 4 years that we've known each other. Thank you very much. Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything. I wish you and everybody the best day today and the best life, but especially you, Cinnamon. Because even if you quit music tomorrow or the next day, you're going to leave behind a legacy in so many people that you've been around these past years that is going to linger. That is going to linger, potentially, at least in me, for the rest of their lives. And to everybody who's watching or listening to this video and who got to this part, please subscribe to Cinnamon. He deserves the subscribers more than I do. Truly. Go check out his Bandcamp. And I'm going to officially sign off. I wish you guys all the best of luck. Cinnamon, whatever's going on in your life, I hope you do well. If it's bad, I really hope you get better. And like I said, you can always go to me for help. You've done so much for me, it's only fair that I return the favor. I thank you all. Check out Cinnamon, and I'll see you in the next one.